The world we live in is increasingly difficult to raise a generation. There are 8 million single moms who are trying to raise children by themselves. 58% of the households in America are needing 2 incomes just to survive. So time is restricted on the parental side, but we also have the social concerns. We have the education system, which has visibly shifted to more of a social focus, where they are tackling social concerns that should never be tackled by the state or by the education system. That we also have the entertainment industry, which is creating moral confusion and identity crisis through their desensitizing of violence, through the glamorizing of harmful behaviors, as well as promoting materialistic values, and the list could go on and on. Even churches in our culture today are compromising their historical and biblical values to be more inclusive, which just leads to moral decline. So what is the answer? I believe that in this generation, we are called, in spite of all these circumstances, to raise an elite generation. My name is Matthew Ruppert. I'm the children's pastor here at The Road. I've been in children's ministry for 8 years now and am passionate about discipling children and young people. Today, I want to tackle the concept of raising an elite generation, a concept that I believe that God has given me to set a high standard and goal for educators, churches, and parents alike to work their hardest in raising children who can stand and defy the cultural norms of this time. This concept was inspired from Daniel when he and his 3 friends were exiled to Babylon. Theologians believe that they were most likely royalty, or at least some of the elite from Israel that were taken over to Babylon because they were intended to be educated and provided the indoctrination needed for them to actually be part of the government in Babylon at the time. So these men were educated and they were well discipled, and we see the effects of their discipleship when the pressure was on. When Daniel was praying 3 times a day and the people came against him, he stood his ground. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were threatened by a blazing fiery furnace, they refused to bow even though everyone around them were bowing. Again, theologians think that they were probably teenagers. How could teenagers, especially when we think of it in context to the teens of today, how could teenagers have stood against the unsurmountable circumstances that they were facing? It was because they were discipled and they understood the truths of God's word, and they possessed the skills and abilities to stand against the opposition that they were facing. So what are the results of the culture that we see today? I believe that we see many young people who are unmotivated to do anything significant beyond watching TV and playing their video games. I believe that they are receiving all these messages of live your truth, be yourself, do what you dream to do. And yet they are being left with these vague encouragements with no clear guidance or direction on how to do something purposeful. Knowledge and physical resources are at this generation's fingertips, and yet there are so many young people who don't know what to be when they grow up. I see something different. I see a generation like Daniel and his 3 friends who can stand up and be different. Through the collaborative effort of parents, churches, and educators, we can raise an elite generation that don't cave to the throes of our culture, who stand firmly planted in the truth of God's word and possess the values and skills needed to make a meaningful impact in this world. I see an elite generation as a possibility and something that we can aim for in this time. So what is an elite generation? Let's dive right in. I believe that God gave me this word elite. Elite as a noun in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary is a group of persons who by virtue of their position or education exercise power and influence. As an adjective, elite refers to persons with superior qualities, skills, or rank. Many people think of elite categorically, elite in athletes or elite in wealth or finance, things like this. But I think of elite more as a holistic sense, that we can raise people who are an above average in their heart, mind, soul, and body, the core elements of their being. This concept comes from Mark chapter 12, verses 30 through 31, which reads, "A teacher of religious law came and asked Jesus, 'Of all of the commandments, which is the most important?' Jesus answered, 'The most important commandment is this: Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is one and only Lord. And you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind, and with all of your strength.' The second is equally important: love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these." We are made in the image of God. That means that we are a dynamic interweaving of both physical and non-physical elements that sets us apart from all other creation. We were created with the purpose of aligning all of those elements to and for the service of God. We were supposed to partner with God to actually carry out His will on the earth. This concept brings up a number of questions. What does it mean to love God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your body? I believe that the answers to these questions are what drives and can drive a generation towards excellence. Now, the skeptic might ask the question, is a person who is above average in every core element of their being really considered elite? I believe some would say yes, and some would say no. To be honest with you, elite is subjective in that way. But what I'm intending to do by using the word elite is setting a high standard. Jesus said, "Be perfect as I am perfect." That seems crazy because in this life, will we ever arrive at perfection? The answer is no. But Jesus himself set that standard for us to give us something to aspire to give us something to work towards. And I believe that is what the word elite is being used for in context to a generation, giving parents, educators, and churches something to aim for, something to aspire to for this generation. So what is an elite generation? An elite generation is a generation that possesses the exceptional qualities and skills within their heart, mind, soul, and body, which allows them to possess power and influence in our world. I believe that if we set our goals high with the intent of honoring God with every part of who we are, then there is nothing that is impossible for the kingdom. In the next episodes, we are going to be diving into those 4 individual parts of our being, how we can disciple them for God, as well as talking about a strategy that we can use to effectively disciple an elite generation.